Citizen Vigilante is officially #1 on Amazon and #1 on Apple. One of the most controversial movies I've ever seen before. If you've seen it, you already know what happened to your emotions. Rage, mixture of feelings of, what is wrong with this guy? I'm siding with him. He's a good guy. No, he's a bad guy. Why did he do this? And if you haven't seen it, when you do, I watch it 2 times in 3 days just to see what angles this one. And by the way, it is dark, it is nasty.
It is glorifying the violent message of this film.
But it's become hot. Elon Musk made the movie free on X for 48 hours. And so I reached out to the writer, director, and producer, Uwe Boll, who's written a lot of controversial things. This guy's even fought 5 critics that said bad things about his movies, and each one of them he knocked out because he used to be a boxer back in the days, growing up in the streets of Germany. And I asked him a few questions. I want you to kind of see it for yourself. One, does he feel people will be inspired to do something about this? Because other people watch it, they're like, wait a minute, what's happened in Germany? I'm going to be Germany's citizen vigilante. I'm going to be UK citizen vigilante. I'm going to be Australia's citizen vigilante. There's a reason why this movie's been banned in Germany and others, because they're worried it could lead to something. But it's also popular. Rotten Tomatoes critics gave it an 8%, but the people gave it 94%. 94% of people who watched this movie, they liked it. Why? There's a reason for it. Having said that, enjoy this interview with the director, producer, and the writer of the movie Citizen Vigilante.
30 seconds. Did you ever think you would make it? I feel I'm so close, I could take sweet victory. I know this life meant for me.
Adam, what's your point? The future looks bright.
My handshake is better than anything I ever signed. It's right here.
You are a one-of-one?
My son's right about it.
I don't think I've ever said this before.
So my guest today is the producer of the movie Citizen Vigilante, Uwe Boll. Uwe, it's great to have you on the show here today.
Thanks for having me.
So, I got a lot of questions to go through with you, but when you made this movie with Armie Hammer, did you think it was going to be a #1 movie on Apple and Amazon?
No. But I think I know I would steer the pot, that people will flipping out about the movie. That was clear for me because I did something what nobody else even tried to do, to give some brutal, real impact into this whole mess of the migration situation in Europe, so I really wanted to put the finger in the wound and show what other people in other movies never would mention. They're covering it up, they're sugarcoating it, and I was furious about it. That's the reason I did that.
So, okay, we'll get into the movie, but before getting into the movie, can you share with the audience your background? You got a very interesting background on what you've done. So maybe for the audience that doesn't know, those who know you, they have an opinion about you, but those who don't, can you share with them your background?
Yeah, so I do a lot of movies. I did 40 movies. There were a lot of stars in it: Jason Statham, Ben Kingsley, Geraldine Chaplin, Meatloaf, Michelle Rodriguez. I shot with a lot of stars, but I started with $60,000 and doing German Fright Movie. That was the German version of Kentucky Fried Movie, a comedy I love. And that movie was shown in the movie theaters. That brought me into the business. So I learned making movies basically in making movies. And so because nobody wanted to produce me, I turned into my own producer too. And that was, I think, the best decision of my life, because so nobody could really take advantage of me in the system. And I was able to, my film company from 1991 is still the same company. So I never went bankrupt or anything. It's still the same company. And as I said, I made big movies like In the Name of the King with Jason Statham, and Burt Reynolds was even in it, Ray Liotta, for 20th Century Fox, and some for Universal, Alone in the Dark, Blood Rain, video game-based movies. But I did also a lot of political movies. Assault on Wall Street, about the 2008 banking crisis, Darfur, about the genocide in Darfur, very hard movie like Hotel Rwanda style, Rampage, Postal. So I did a lot of things I wrote myself. They're more political, more serious, and of course the big commercial movies, more like popcorn movies, basically.
Got it. And so, but you also took a break and you went and started a restaurant, which became, you brought a Michelin star chef, and I think it was the number 27 or 37 restaurant in Canada. You made the top 50 list. What was that all about? Why did you leave that to go into the restaurant business?
Yeah, I lived in Canada. My wife is from Canada, and I missed the food, like the German food, you know, and I felt like I bring a great German chef, and we had the classics too. Wiener Schnitzel, but from the veal, of course, not from any pork. We had Sauerbraten and stuff like this, like German classics, but we also had a full-on tasting menu, like a Michelin star restaurant. And I did that 2015, 2016. I shot my movie Rampage Part 3 and stopped making movies and felt, okay, I did it so long, I did so much, maybe I should retire from making movies. But then 2020, I felt, I love it too much. I have to go back making movies. And then in a way, COVID came and we had to close the restaurant because of the shutdown. And I felt that's kind of a sign, you know, like to say, you know what, then we're wrapping it up now. Now we're closing it and we're not reopening. What was very clever, by the way, because in the first week of the shutdown, I felt already that will not go fast away. So I basically closed it right away. Another guy bought all the equipment, and then I said, okay, now I go full back on movies.
And on the movie side, again, very interesting for you to go from there to the movies, 40 plus movies. Is it true that you decided to fight 5 of the movie critics and you literally knocked each of them out? Is that a true story? Is that a myth?
No, it's a true story. Jeff Snyder from Variety, he had to throw up on the sidewalk after. It's all on YouTube, so you can. We did it in the Plaza of Nations in Vancouver. It was sold out. It was even on pay-per-view at that point, and it's on YouTube. So it's a lot of. There's even a docu, Raging Ball, I think on Amazon or something, and. No, I was so loaded up, you know, these reviewers. You see it now with Citizen Vigilante too. 94% of the audience loves it. But the 10 people who wrote a review, like, typical Uwe Boll, the worst piece of shit movie ever. So it's like I'm so used that the normal reviewers, they hate my movies because I like making movies in your face, like blunt movies, like Dirty Harry, Death Wish. That is the stuff I grew up with. The Wild Bunch is one of my favorite movies. And that's really the stuff I grew up with. And I cannot stand all this artificial drumming around the bush, diverse, woke writer shit. You know, like I cannot watch it anymore. Star Wars, oh God, I'm so done with all these movies. So, and the reviewers, they don't like this kind of blunt movies in a way, you know, and they hated me also that I boxed the critics that like I thought that I found it, for example, you know, and you see they couldn't box. I boxed when I was young, so I know I cannot really get killed by these people, and then I don't know what clip it is. Oh, that's here. I get it.
Yeah, I mean, I see the numbers. A guy named Peter Bradshaw from Guardian gave it one of your movies a 0 out of 5 star, called it badly acted and political inflammatory. You knocked him out. Yeah. Variety Todd Gilchrist, you knocked him out. Then you got the Bulwark Sonny Bunch, gave it a 1 star, wrote the film was so astonishingly bad that it almost harms Armie Hammer. You got these newer guys on what they said. The guys in the past that said it is Rich Kianka, who for founder of Something Awful had some scathing reviews. You fought him. Chris Alexander, you fought him from Rue Morgue Magazine. Snyder, which he lost by TKO, and then Chance Minter, and then last but not least, Carlos Palencia Jimenez Arguello, who lost by TKO. Question for you. Take me back to you being 14, 15, 16 years old. Were you a troublemaker? Were you a street kid? Were you a gangster? Were you a fighter? Who were you at 14, 15, 16 years old?
No, I was in a boxing club, and I trained really 4 or 5 times a week. That's also a thing, you know, when I talk to this kind of Green Party members who were always pampered and never had contact to street crime people, or also, I mean, when you go to a boxing club, you have a lot of people from around the world. You have the Albanians and so on. And I know that they understand basically only strengths. They respect strong rules and strong, like, you know, like they laughing about you when you're weak. They beat you up. So, and I think our governments, mostly they don't get that. They don't get that. They don't understand that if you give these people the street, they will take the street. And because they are like, oh, you poor guy from Afghanistan, whatever, you know, poor guy from Syria. And when you have a harder hand with them, that it's in reality this what they understand. You know, when they getting it, like if you steal as a migrant in London in the warehouse, you will get removed the next day. Then they maybe stop stealing. But when they think like, nothing will ever happen to me, I can do whatever I want, then it keeps going with grabbing women, raping women, stabbing other people, robbing people, or having this grooming gangs, what we have. That all happens because they're not scared of the law. They know, like, oh, in the end, they say, I'm a traumatized refugee. I just had to rape that woman. So, and all this stuff is like a lot of these people, they talk about people like this, but they never met them. I mean, I know people since they were like 5 years old. They are like the Albanian mafia. You know, you could order whatever you want. If I was at the boxing club and they wanted a new like disc player, I gave them the thing. I want that disc player, and they're like, next training, I got the disc player for $50 instead of $500. So I know how these people think and how they operate. They give a shit about the law. So that's the thing, but they respect people. They also showing strengths and are not scared. So that's the big misunderstanding about like criminal migrants, like these gangs and the clans and so on, you know, and they abusing the system. I said also yesterday at the Piers Morgan, I'm not against migrants. I mean, if you go somewhere, I don't care about your religion, your skin color. I worked in my movies with all nations together, shot in Africa, everywhere. But I have something against criminal migrants, like criminals who abuse the system, the social welfare system, but also who are risk factors and going around and killing people, pushing people in front of a subway, stabbing people, random stabbings. That's the reason I did that opening scene in Citizen Vigilante, where that mother gets stabbed and bleeds out. We had that thousands of times in reality. And when then the guy was yesterday, Mehdi from The Guardian, he acts like the crimes are all the Nazis doing against, or right-wing people doing crimes against migrants. No, it's like 100 times different. Like it's 100 times more where migrants doing crimes, from school bullying to theft to rape, stealing, pickpocketing, everything. I mean, it's a criminal statistic that it shows it 100%. That's 700% higher crime rate under migrants. So, and I think the problem is with a lot of people is they're not even willing to accept the facts. You know, even Piers Morgan yesterday, he said like, there's no problem with the illegal migration from Islamistic countries in England. I mean, is he blind? Is he living in a palace?
That's a very strong position that when he was here, he and I talked about that, and he's firm on that. He really believes there's nothing that's going on with that, and obviously a lot of people disagree with that. But this story you made, the character that's played by Armie Hammer, he is a rich guy that inherits a bunch of wealth, right? Real estate wealth, all this stuff, and his mother obviously gets killed while they're leaving the liquor store, and the father wasn't really in the picture. Is the character Sanders played by Armie Hammer based on somebody you know, or did you create that character?
No, I created that. Okay,
character. You created that character. Okay, so you know, and so when you called Armie and you shared with him, hey, this is what I'm thinking about. What was the reaction when you shared with him that you wanted to have this part? How did he receive the character?
No, he read what I wrote. He said, "Oh, that's tough stuff," but the good thing is he was in a situation, he needed the money, he needed to make the movie, he wanted to go back to acting, and I think it's a great character to come back to acting. I told him, like, that's a lead part, like you will be like in a way an action star back to do this movie, you know, and he was perfect for it. I mean, look at him, he would be perfect to be James Bond, the new James Bond. So, and he really delivered the part I saw your show where you said you never saw like there's a real dark movie, but this is what I wanted. You know, I wanted it that it's unforgettable, that the people like, whoa, that's maybe too much. You know, so because of course the overall impact of the movie should be like, not like, okay, let's be all vigilantes now, we shoot everybody who doesn't have a bus ticket. No, the idea is the governments need to make sure to protect their citizens, that you are like peacefully can walk in the inner city and be not scared that somebody stabs you from behind. And that's the message, that like you need to bring security to the streets. Otherwise, people will revolt. People will say, it's enough now.
Okay, so when we do this, so Uwe, let's stay on that, because I've had Dominik Tarczynski on from Poland. I don't know if you know who he is, Dominik Tarczynski, and he's a big fan of this movie. He posted it all over the place. Poland has the lowest crime rate in all of Europe, 0.3%, lowest unemployment, lowest anything. And he says, we will not let one Muslim in our country. That's his words, not one, zero. And he says, because of that, we have the lowest crime rate. And he said this over and over again. If you can find that clip of him saying that when he's being questioned about it. So then here's the question. If, say the government doesn't do anything, because they're not. I mean, in the movie, you saw that other character, which becomes the villain, who is supposed to stop Sanders, and he's representing the government that's there to take care of him. He says, you can't do this. He says, I don't like what my government's not doing, but my job is to stop a guy like you because you're not supposed to do what you're doing. What do you say if, when I watched the movie Joker with Joaquin Phoenix, I don't know if you've seen the Joker, I think you probably like a movie like that, because it's kind of, there was a 43rd minute where the enemy became the capitalist. So it's kind of like, go kill the capitalist. And then you have Luigi Mangione that goes and kills the CEO of United Healthcare in America, and it was a massive story all over the place, right? But some people were like, he did the right thing. So let's flip it here. So let's just say, if somebody watches this movie and they live in UK, if 100 tough guys that are street thugs, have nothing to live for, their dad is dead, their mom's not in the life, nothing. They watch this and they say, if the UK government's not going to do anything, if the Spain government's not going to do anything, and they're inviting even more migrants in, if the France government's not going to do anything, we're going to take it on to ourselves. We're going to go kill these rapists ourselves. Say 100 people in Europe decide to take it on upon themselves, including in Australia, and they go kill 1,000 rapists, and they do what he did, Sanders, in a movie. Do you look at those people as heroes, or do you look at those guys as villains?
No, I mean, of course, I would always say you should not murder people. You shouldn't kill, right? So in general. But having said that, I think that's the mathematically, like, chance gets higher and higher as more illegal migration comes from people they don't bring value to the society. And they even demand this kind of, they demand the street. I'll give you an example. I was in Frankfurt, I was sitting in a restaurant, and there came a demonstration train, basically, with a woman with the burqa on top of a pickup truck. She had the microphone. Police was there to protect the Palestinians or whatever, pro-Gaza demonstration. And she was yelling in the microphone, cops up, pigs, 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 kill the pigs, pigs, pigs. That was she yelling. That was basically everything. She never said anything else when the train moved by, and I was sitting in that restaurant. And I felt like, are we crazy? Like, what the cops should think about it. So they protecting these guys, that they can do a free demonstration where they basically say, kill these guys who protect us here right now. And we are in Frankfurt, where all the banks from Europe are, in the super high-tech city, and nothing we ever did in our countries is even close to one building in Frankfurt. So, and I felt like, you know, it's insane. It's insanity to give this stuff like a chance. For me, these people should get deported the next day. Sorry. It's like, there is no way around it. If we don't get a hard hand against like criminals or people coming into the country who in any form are not useful for the country and just get social welfare, and then going on the street and demonstrating like this, I mean, what are we doing? You know, and the normal like lower middle class in Germany, they barely make it through, and in America the same, they barely make it paycheck to paycheck, and they work the whole time. And then they see these people, they're getting 6 kids, it's 6 times 300 euro every month just for the kids. Then they get free housing, they get free healthcare, free schools. You know, I mean, you have to make 5,000 euro to get what they get for free. And that's crazy. We have to finish this welcome culture and just like have our own interests first and say, look guys, when you come here and you work and you integrate, you pay taxes, you're welcome from whatever country you come. But we cannot continue to get like played like this. That's really, you get played. And you know, I have Muslim friends, I have nothing against Muslims, but like radical Sharia teaching Islam has nothing to do in Europe or America. That's just like that's against everything we ever learned, against civilization, against natural science, against any other religion, because they should die in their ideas. And I don't know why so many like normal Muslims a lot of times kind of protecting them and not like criticizing that louder, you know, saying, no, that's ridiculous. If people running around and stabbing people, pushing them down the stairs, grandmas down the stairs, like people, like I saw so many videos over the time. And then you discuss with people, they say, oh, it's no problem. That's other people rape other people too. Like in marriages, people, husbands rape women. Yeah, but not in a bush with 15 teenagers. I mean, it's insane. There are huge difference in the way crime is done by these migrant gangs and stuff like this. And I will never forget, I watched a video where a guy with a baby carriage went to Paris, like a father with his baby in a baby carriage. And the guy comes, stabs him in the neck, and he bleeds out on the ground and is dead. And the baby is in the baby carriage, like we'll never see the father. So why we do this to us? Why these people are there? Why these people are not gone? You know, so that's the thing. It's like this so suicidal
but
empathy.
Here's my question for you
title.
though. If the government's not going to do anything, this is what I'm trying to go to, because this movie was made, my opinion, let me ask you, because you're the creator of the movie, how much of this movie was to inspire? How much of this movie was to entertain?
No, I think all my movies always have to entertain too, right? So they have to be not boring. That's the worst thing you can do with a movie. And unfortunately, a lot of movies are too boring. But no, it is not to inspire to burn the city down. It is to bring the pressure and to open the eyes of this kind of woke left people who close their eyes and don't want to see the reality. They never had contact to violent people. They never saw people getting beaten up. I mean, I saw that non-stop when I was young, right? So, and that's the thing. It's like they have no experience with violence in a way, and that how fast it can escalate, you know, and they sugarcoat it. They just think that's not whatever, accepting it as long they don't get it. You know, a lot of these people, I think, if they are one time in their life in a dangerous or violent situation, they would maybe start thinking a little different about it, you know. So, and that's the thing. It's like I was in Berlin actually this year, and they played my movie Run, and that was Amanda Plummer. Like, it's also about a kind of refugees, but they played the movie in the movie theater. So I went back to the airport at 9 o'clock with the subway, and then the streetcars basically, and I was completely alone. And the last things, because it was the late flight out, there was nobody in that thing besides me and 5 or 6, like they looked like Arab gang members. And they saw, in a way, I had like a glass bottle in my hand. I always buy me then a glass bottle before I do stuff like this, you know, because a glass bottle is a perfect weapon. And they didn't do anything with me. So they felt like, nah, it's not worth the risk. But if I would be a girl in that subway, in that streetcar thing, for like 20 minutes completely alone in the middle of the night, basically driving there, she would definitely not be safe. They could grab her out on any station what was holding, because the Berlin airport, the new one, is very far out of Berlin, and you go to no man's land for like 25 minutes. So, and they could grab her out there, and she would be toast. So, and that's the thing. It's like,
what do you
why
think
they
needs
were
to happen?
even
What
in
do you
that-
think? But what do you think needs to happen to those 6, 7 men that say would have raped her? Because I had Rupert Lowe on the podcast 2 weeks ago. He wrote the report on the 250,000 rape accusations, of 87% being Pakistani. I had the whole report. I read the whole report. I had him on. We had the conversation about it. If the government's not willing to do anything to those who rape these individuals, what do you think needs to happen to them? Say the government does nothing. Say the next 20 years, they go rape another 5 million people, the 5 million innocent young girls the next 10 years.
Yeah.
Do you think,
No,
what do you think the average, somebody who is a gangster, mafia, street guy who has nothing to live for, do you think it's okay if they go take care of those 7 boys, men that raped that 14, 15-year-old girl?
No. And that's the thing, you know, it's like, if this would happen to my daughter and these guys would be free, they would be not safe. That I can tell you, right? So they would, like, if they're not going to jail for what they did, in my case, they would be not safe. That I guarantee you.
And you would be comfortable you going to jail? If these guys did something to your daughter, because you brought it up, you would be okay with the consequence of what happens to you?
Yeah, if they catch me. You know, like what, you know. So yeah. So and that's a thing. But I understand that a lot of people would just live with it and would be very sad about it and would be depressed about it, and they have a miserable life. I mean, the thing is, where I flipped out on that journalist in Hamburg who even said the perpetrators are also victims of wrong integration. So now these people, the rapists, living 15 blocks away from the girl. It's not like they had the money. They were all lower end, the girl too. So they were still living there. It's not like, okay, now we move away from Hamburg. No, the father has a job, so they have to stay there. So now she could be every day meeting the rapist. And the rapist could laugh their asses off, saying, yeah, I was not even in jail. I was 17. The judge felt I'm too young. Whatever. So, and that's why I did this harsh end scene where he just shoots everybody. Where you know, the sister posts like, oh, they're all whores, that the girls are all whores because they're not like having the burqa on, they're running around with a bikini. So, and I basically did in that movie what a lot of people think, what a lot of people, in a way, then at least in that movie, because in real life it doesn't happen, they're celebrating it because it was so crystal clear. You know, saying, look, dear government, if you don't prosecute hard crimes, I mean, for a rape like this, how can you be not even getting any jail, like probation? I mean, for what you get, like, you do a tax fraud, you're 5 years in prison. So, and then you do like a hard gang rape and you walk free and everybody pats on your back like, oh, you had a hard childhood in Afghanistan, so I understand from time to time you have to rape a woman. I mean, that's insane. And the thing is, they should get 10 to 15 years, or even better, they should leave Germany the day after the rape and go to wherever they come from, you know, and then you tell the Taliban in Afghanistan, when they're from Afghanistan, these guys are rapists, you do your law on them because they were illegal in Germany from the get-go, and now we bring them back to you. So do whatever you want. I give a shit. So that's the thing. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm too radical on this, but I know only I personally would not take, if somebody stabs my son and he bleeds out, or my wife bleeds out in front of me, these guys would be not safe. That I guarantee you.
Let me ask you, why do you, and by the way, why do you think there isn't more of that? Meaning, if these 250 kids were raped, 250,000 rape stories that you have, in UK specifically, we're not even talking about Germany and other places. Why do you think there isn't more citizen vigilantes? These are somebody's, this is someone's daughter, this is someone's brother, sister, this is someone's child. Like, why do you think there aren't more radical things happening like this?
No, because the people are mostly unable to do something. They're like sheep, right? So they're scared. They're scared of the consequences. They're then pick the way to not fight. They pick the way to be depressed. They are basically, yeah, they cannot do it. It's like I would not say they want to follow the law. I would say if your family gets killed, you don't want to follow the law. Everybody would want revenge, but most of the people, just cannot handle it. They cannot do it themselves. They don't know people. They can go and do harm to other people. That's the thing. It's like a totally different kind of world. And yeah, but look, when you talk about backbone, for example, you don't find also in America, even like look at the film industry. You know how many people I know who are actors or people in the film industry, they voted for Trump and they never say it. If they would always say, don't say it, Uwe, don't say it to anybody. You will never work again, blah, blah, blah. And I said, I give a shit, to be honest. Like I always said what I mean. I don't care about the consequences. But they know, oh, I will never work again at the Netflix TV series, or I will never get a job there. So if people are scared to even say who they voted for or why they voted for somebody, because they could have a financial disadvantage out of it, that shows that most of the people, they just don't have any courage. So then they would never do anything what is actually could have a jail penalty for them as a consequence. They would not do this. So that I think is the reason that so many people just are then too weak. They don't pull it off.
So, you know, this is such a complicated movie. I watch it twice in 3 days. And my wife comes in, she's like, why are you watching it again? I said, because, you know, I just have to watch this one more time. So I didn't watch it one time. I watched twice in 3 days. And it's so complicated. It is so complicated because whenever I would talk to some Italian mothers who lived in New York City, say they're 75 years old, and they would say they missed the mob being in New York City. I said, you missed the mob? Yes, we missed the mob. Why? Nobody would mess with us from the outside. And as long as you respected them, they were good. They took out their own. I said, but I mean, so you don't support the fact that Rudy Giuliani got rid of the criminals and he cleaned up the streets? She says, yes and no. I said, tell me why yes and no. He says, because once they got cleaned up, other people from the outside came in to try to take advantage of us, and nobody feared the mob anymore because they were gone. So they started abusing. So the opposition started. And even in LA, there was an area called Manhattan Beach. I don't know if you've been to Manhattan Beach.
Yeah.
It's a very wealthy area, and you don't mess with Manhattan Beach. It's probably 65, 70% Republican, and it's people in Hollywood that nobody wants to know they're Republican, Hollywood people that live there. And one time Black Lives Matter was going there to protest. I want to say the Mongols or Hells Angels, biker gangs showed up, and he said, you ain't coming across here. You're just not.
Yep.
And so it took the gangsters and street guys to push away from protesters and the other guys that were going to come and destroy the city. So this is why it's a very, very complicated story, because if a family's living in Europe and their government is not doing their part to keep them safe, what are you supposed to do? Leave? Don't do anything. You call the cops, they won't do anything. There was a guy yesterday, and a young guy that is being bullied in the streets, white guy in UK. I don't know if you saw this or not. He's being pushed around. The cop comes, and the cop accuses the white kid instead of the ones that are trying to beat him up. And it was the most random thing that you're seeing online here. This is the clip here. I want you to watch this. This is, I believe, in Birmingham. Go ahead.
Yeah, he's cornered.
How is the cops are arresting the kid that's being bullied by the other 7, 8 kids? I mean, this is the weirdest thing to see happening in a place like. So what is somebody supposed to do? Just allow the cops are not even going to protect the person that's being bullied?
No, because the cops know the white kid will not grab a knife and stab them. So it's easy to, like, in a way, the cops are scared already and obeying to the street violence. They are like you see, it's a little woman. So, and cops in England, I don't think they have even guns, what is completely absurd in a way. And but in England, I think they never had guns for whatever reason. And I think so. She grabs him because he's kind of an easy target for this, and is not going after them. And I mean, interesting when you came up with the Hells Angels. I followed 2.5 years as a documentary from me. It will come out in the US too. It was here on Amazon. I followed the Banditos 2.5 years, so I know all the Banditos everywhere around Europe, and made a documentary. So I came very close to them. And where the Banditos are, similar to the Hells Angels, when they go to a world run, the last world run was in Barcelona, in Spain. They're like 4,000 banditos. And when they are there is no crime in the whole city. It's like nobody steals. That's the banditos. Nobody here. That's my movie. You see in the middle, below.
Yeah, I see it. Uwe Boll, von Uwe Boll,
yeah,
Bandidos,
so
yes.
Yeah, that's my movie. So, and it's absolutely safe when you around them, and when they are somewhere, they tell like the city, don't worry about it. Similar to what you said with the Mongols or the Hells Angels. When they promise something, they hold it up. That's the reason they don't cooperate with the law enforcement. They have their own laws, but they follow strict orders. Nobody is going completely balloony. That guy would be like not seen anymore or whatever, but out of the club, what is then like very bad for somebody if you get like out of a club without, you have to give the vest away, and you are basically free to chase, like this kind of stuff. And that was for me very interesting. And my docu is kind of positive about the Banditos, because inside the thing, there was honor and you keep your word. There was, that's the thing. It's like, and we are not getting it done similar in our population anymore. Everybody is caved in for themselves. Nobody helps the other person. And I saw a lot of things in the Banditos when people had financial problems. They're getting help by the club, and it's not always like, okay, now we give you 10 grand, and then you have to do right away something for us. No, it's like they taking care of their brothers. That's a fact, Yeah,
and I mean, I'm sure you know this. This movie is going to inspire people to be Sanders. If you haven't already seen, have you seen the stories of what people are doing around the world based on the inspiration of this movie? You're seeing stories with a guy in Mexico that's going and, taping robbers, and, there's a bunch of, low-key Sanders, stepping up around the world that are inspired by the movie that you made. By the way, do you think Sanders in the movie is a hero?
I would not say he's a hero. I portrayed him as like kind of a cold guy who has not a lot of emotions, whatever, but he's doing the right thing. He corrects injustice and he goes after criminals. They otherwise can do whatever they want. And I think a very good scene is in the bus where there's 3 kids in the bus, don't pay the ticket, and he pays the ticket for them and tries to explain it to them, because I felt that scene is very important to show that our society doesn't work if part of the society don't put anything in. Like when nobody pays the bus ticket, there are no more buses. That is what he basically tells them. So he paid the ticket for them. But you cannot, as a citizen, just expect that other people pay your bills, that you do nothing in return. And that's very simple. But that's the idea of a lot of now also in America, like this kind of more socialist communist also gets in Germany, gets bigger and bigger. The left party, really communist, have over 10% in Germany already. So it's that is kind of like, you know what, we just take it, we seize it, like the Mamdani, like the mayor of New York. We just like, oh, that guy has $250 million. We just take half of it. Otherwise, the next step is now we charge the building he has or whatever. But the next step would be we just seize it. Like, we take it from his bank account. That's all over the media. That's all over in universities where they teach this. Like, you know what? If somebody has too much, we just seize it. Like, otherwise, incarceration. That are the ideas from the left. You know, they're always flipping out of the ideas of the right-wing parties, but the left, also in America, they have ideas. They would destroy everything what like America built or what like Europe built. You know, if you feel like if I make any money, that's the straight way to get shot, and they take all my money away because by accident I got rich and now I'm a piece of shit because I worked hard and got some money. That's the mentality. It gets bigger and bigger. That mentality gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And I got letters. I had a movie set up here in Germany, and I got various letters from actors I hired before, and they said, based on this movie, no, they can never work with me again. So they came in like 2, 3, 4 days ago. And
these are big name actors?
No, they were like good actors. Do you know them from TV shows? But I'm not saying the names now. But they were booked basically for the show. I'm thinking about canceling that whole show now and like, okay, then we do it another time. But that's very frustrating. You know, when you feel like this kind of propaganda made people change this drastical way that they don't even know, like, you know, that the human connection, whatever, you know, it's unbelievable. It's really like it goes in a wrong direction. And I think this political radicalism in general, especially from the left, is going slowly out of control. You know, I had a whole discussion with a Kamala Harris fan, and I said, look, if you really believe in the borders are open, 8 million people coming into the US during the Biden time, why then, when I land in New York City, I have to show my passport to somebody, to an immigration officer? For what? I mean, if you think that doesn't matter anymore who goes in and out, and all borders are open, and you just open the south border and 8 million people from Latin America coming in, but why I then get tackled down and tasered if I was just past the immigration and would say, I'm not showing anything anymore, for what? So, and she said, yeah, good point, we should get rid of them. That was her reaction. But that's where we stand already, you know, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, a part of this movie for me, I think you increase the tension of emotion so high, the rage to want to seek vengeance, because and the way it is done, like if you watch the second Top Gun, not the first one, Maverick, the second one, if you watch it closely, the one thing they did very interesting is they didn't tie the enemy to any country. So I don't know if you've seen Maverick, the second one.
I saw it.
There is no country. So it's not like Rocky IV, Drago is Russian. Hey, you know, if he can change and I can change, anybody can change. And he's kind of trying to bring USSR and US closer. The enemy was Russia, right? You watch some of these movies, you know who the enemy is. If you watch Gladiator, it's the ultimate revenge movie, but you don't get out hating a country. You get out hating Joaquin Phoenix. And, you know, Maximus is the hero. But when you watch this movie, Citizen Vigilante, it is very clear the statements that Sanders makes. You know, I don't think your country sent the best kind to us. That one line. You know, the post where the sister says she deserved it because of the clothes she wore. Do you want me to take the post down? You know, the 14-year-old boy that raped with 6 or 7 of his friends. And then he says, call all your friends to come over. The scene is a very epic scene. I'm not going to call them. 5, 4, 3, 2, call him. He calls them one by, come over and bring everybody else. And then boom, 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 boom. One, and then boom, boom, boom. Kills the, that is a very vicious scene. And then the judge scene, which, if you don't mind, if I have your permission to show you the scene from the judge, you know, the part where they're in the car, and you know, he's like, he plays the clip, you know, where Sanders is showing the clip. You know which one I'm talking about?
Yes.
If you go to 22 seconds on this clip, I think it starts at 22 seconds. You're go a little bit back. Okay, watch this. I want the audience to see this. This is to set it up. Would you mind explaining this to the audience, what's going on here before we play this clip?
Yeah, so that was the judge who actually let the rapists go. right? So who basically didn't give them real jail penalties. And then Sanders basically had the material from the press conference or this press statement he did and shows it to him during he kidnapped him, to confront him with what he said, basically. That's the clip.
Yeah, and he puts heroin in his neck to get him to not be, so he is in the car right now. The judge is to the right, Sanders is to the left. He's taking him somewhere, and he plays this clip for him. Go for it.
Let's see what you have to say.
All right. This is all I have prepared, and this is all what I'm going to say to you. Our politics failed to integrate teenage migrants into our society.
Also didn't give them the help to function by our rules and our laws. The gang rape was in a way a cry for help and structure. Not only the young girl is the victim, they are also victims.
Because in the
You really
rape,
believe that?
not only the victim, also the perpetrators are getting traumatized.
It doesn't help the young girl if they're getting locked up now and getting their normal life for a long time denied.
That's all, gentlemen.
That was you after letting a gang of rapists free.
You can pause it right there. I mean, look, I don't care where you are politically. You watch that. That generates rage. Uwe. And by the way, was that based on a real life judge that did that you depicted that individual?
Yes. There was the judge from the Hamburg Volkspark case who said that, and I felt in a movie, fictional movie, you can put that out. You can say, look, that, and it's my rage, right? It's like I wrote this with rage. So I felt like in what world I'm living now here, that people get away with this and not getting fired. Like this judge, how can he be still a judge? That's completely insane. And that has to get corrected. Like, where's the honor of a judge? Like, for what you have paragraphs with whatever, bank robbery, 8 years, murder, lifelong prison. I mean, for what is that written if you can just completely ignore it and make this kind, that's the thing, And 14 years she was at the rape. So at the trial, then she was 15 and a half, 16 years old. That's insane. It's all like that. It's disgusting. And we have to stop. And also Muslims have to stop protecting perpetrators and criminals only because they're Muslims. That's not a question of any religion here. It has nothing to do with religion. It has to do with this kind of no moral, no values. If that's connected to religion, okay, but it's, for me, connected to you never learned what the most simple rule, I think, in life is you don't do to others what you don't want that they do to you. Mm-hmm. So if you have that rule, you don't need basically any other rule. Mm-hmm. So, but they never learned it. They learned, like, if you're weak, we can do whatever we want with you, and you don't deserve it because you're weak. And that was the thing. I saw so many times when I was still boxing that you had like this kind of, like, I have to say, more like from the Arab countries. You had new people coming to boxing. They couldn't box at all. So they did a sparring, and then they got heavily knocked out, beaten, and they were laughing their asses off. And I have to say, I could never do something like this to people that cannot defend themselves. Only if they're movie critics in the ring. But even there, I was not really hitting them devastating. So, but if you see this guy tries to learn to box, you don't beat him up and give him a concussion, but they were laughing at us. They loved it and felt like, so. And that's also early learned by me. There is a different mentality to it. And it's like there is no mercy. They feel good. Like when they beat up the video you showed me with the kid, like there were like 4 or 5 guys, and they were like enjoying it, to beating him up. Look, he's all alone. Now he's scared. Now we do this. Now we do that. So that's the typical behavior. I saw that 100 times myself, and I think that's disgusting. And I think, like, as I said, if you come in our countries and you show behavior like this, then you're not a fit. Then you need to get removed.
Yeah, and they say in their own country, if they did it, they would be killed. They say that. If they did that in their own country, they would get killed, but not in European countries. The story that you're talking about, the German gang who raped a 14-year-old girl and left her like a piece of meat, Spar jail. There's another one that says, you know, what happened with them with the 2020 Hamburg Park gang. By the way, nobody gave the name of the judge, so they don't even know who the judge was. 8 or 9 people raped him, and German woman given harsher sentence than rapist for calling him a pig. I mean, this is. Do you think they realize if they keep doing this, eventually, it won't be long till one of these countries experiences a revolution? I mean, you see what a Tommy Robinson is doing, and he's just going out there trying to make some noise. But which, by the way, I think Tommy Robinson was just interviewed by Australian reporter. I don't know if you saw that one or not. He was with Karl Stefanovic, if you're familiar with him or not. Tommy was on Karl Stefanovic. I think the Australian guy got fired right off the bat. So you see a Tommy Robinson in UK going out there making noise, and people are showing up, tens of thousands of people showing up. And that revolution hasn't happened yet. But if these guys don't fix it, especially UK having 7 different prime ministers in the last 10 years, my worry, truly my worry is, and this is the conflict of the individual watching your movie, my worry is this movie is going to give birth to hundreds of Sanders around the world. Do you worry about that?
Look, as a filmmaker, I cannot, like, look, the consequences of a movie, if something happens, whatever, the JFK movie from Oliver Stone maybe opened everybody's new investigation and thinking about, was it not Lee Harvey Oswald alone? Maybe that movie, when that came out, also changed, in a way, history. A lot of people started thinking about that whole JFK backstory again. And I think you make a good movie if you make your impact on society, on thinking about stuff, and maybe also leaving an imprint. I would never say that I'm responsible for any violent acts people do because they watched the movie. I think the problem makes them violent. You know, if there's no problem, why they should get violent? I mean, the people are so fed up by this completely ignorant politicians sitting in Europe and watching Starmer, Macron, and Merz living in a completely absurd parallel world to the society. It's not only in that migrant crisis. I mean, don't even want to start on the Ukraine war and stuff like this. It's insane. They completely don't do anything for their own population, like nothing. They save everywhere money and go deeper in debt, but they're handing out money to everybody, like worldwide, and they say, look, we are it's all about how we're standing there moral, like on the good side of history, you know, and whatever. And then it turns out Ukrainians blowed up our pipeline with Russia and damaged us $100 billion, and prosecution, no, shit. It were Ukrainians, our best buddies. But why our best buddies blow up our pipeline, right? Because they're not our best buddies. So as an example, it's totally absurd. You know, the biggest Bugatti, like whatever dealer, Bentley dealer is in Kiev. Why? Why all that money, what we sent there, hundreds of billions? Why not a lot of people like on the front lines in the Ukraine? They don't even have something to eat. Where's all that money? You know, so that's the thing. It's like, we see it left and right. I don't justify Putin's invasion of Ukraine. He should never did that. But you also cannot have a blind eye of the total corruption in the Ukraine. It's completely corrupt. The whole country is completely corrupt, and they're stealing left and right. That's the reason there are no elections to just stay in power. And as longer the war, as longer they can stay in power and scrap 20% of everything what comes in. that stuff, I mean, it's an endless loop about European politicians where you feel like you don't care about your own taxpayers. I mean, I pay all this stuff as a taxpayer, all this bullshit, and I don't want to pay. I don't want to put my money for governments. They just give it all away. I don't know if you ever saw I think I have to go even to a different thing. I have a Reddit thing going, but the thing is, we paid bicycle lanes in Peru, like Germany, like tens of millions of dollars to build in Peru bicycle lanes, and our schools falling apart or bridges don't get repaired. And you think like, what is wrong with you guys? Are you fucking insane? I mean, that's really that the normal German person, people are like a lot of friends from all different social classes I have around me. And we all together think they lost completely their mind in the last 8 years. It's basically, I don't know what COVID or the vaccine did to their brains, but they lost it. It's like completely over. You don't even know what to talk about it anymore. And with the migration issue, you have it right in front of you. They're going in the middle through Frankfurt and say, kill everybody who's here. And you say, good for you.
Oh, wait, let me ask you, how much money did it cost you to make this? What was the amount that it cost you to make the movie?
Only $4 million.
And how much have you made so far? How much has the movie made so far?
That you have to ask Quiver Entertainment.
Okay, you don't know that. You don't know it yet.
No. Okay. I get every half year an accounting, and I hope I get my money back in half a year, right? So far, I basically didn't get any money back.
Okay.
But now, slowly but steady, with other countries rolling it out.
Has Army committed? Has Army committed to Vigilante 2?
I didn't really talk with him about it. I said, look, that could be a franchise, and I think we should do it. And but I have to talk more serious about it because, as I said, right now I do a lot of like press and stuff. I wrote down even ideas for the second part. I'm sure we do it. And if Army is not out of his mind, he of course comes back.
And has any other actors, like big names, Mel Gibson, actors like that, has anybody reached out and say, hey, this was very interesting, we'd love to work with you on something?
Not Mel Gibson, but I mean, maybe he's busy with shooting something, but he will love the movie. I know Stallone will love the movie. His brother tweeted about it already. Stallone's brother loved it. I know the whole thing from Tulsa King, Frank Grillo, James Russo, they all loved the movie. I know a lot of people in the industry loved the movie.
Is there anybody specifically you'd want to work with on the next project? Anyone specifically in mind?
No, I saw it like when, what is her name? Gina Carano.
Gina Carano, yep.
Yeah, Carano. She tweeted about it and said, that's great, I love it. I would totally put her in it.
Well, I will put you guys in a group text. Are you in touch with her or no?
Only via X, but if you know her personally, absolutely.
I'm going to put you guys in a group text.
Together.
I'll put you guys in a group text together.
Yeah, that would be great. I think she got canceled, unjustified, and came back. She's a good actress, and she would be kick-ass. I feel the second part should have a few guys. Maybe not only one person.
I mean, listen, the movie 95% on Rotten Tomatoes by people and 8% by critics. Which I always look at the people, not the critics, because I know what the critics are going to be saying. Last question before I wrap up is the following people said the following about Citizen Vigilante. Peter Bradshaw from Guardian gave it a 0 out of 5. Todd Gilchrist from Variety gave it he said, movie feels rushed and more interested in pushing an idea than telling a compelling story. Sonny Bunch from Bulwark gave it a 1 out of 4 star. And Nicholas Bell from Fish Jelly Films gave it a 0.5 out of 5. Described an inept vigilante movie that amplifies xenophobia. Would you be willing to fight every one of these guys who just called you out on Citizen Vigilante?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. I'm sure they'll be reaching out.
Especially if before the fight, just read the review again and let's get ready.
Yeah, that'd be great. Anyways, Uwe, congrats on the success with the movie. Very, very controversial, conflicted movie, but I had to watch it a couple times because the emotions the movie produces, and I look forward to seeing Citizen Vigilante 2 as well here soon.
Thank you so much.
All
Thanks
the
for
best to you.
everything.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.